The Last Campfire is Hello Games' first release in 4 years. Ever since the release of No Man's Sky back in 2016, people have really had it out for Hello Games. That game had a disaster of a launch, but it also had the effect of rocketing Hello Games from indie status into the mainstream. Before No Man's Sky, they were mostly known for small indie games like Joe Danger. Nowadays, they're working on something big and ambitious like No Man's Sky again, but in the meantime, they've released The Last Campfire, which is a much smaller game in comparison. I know a lot of people are hesitant to trust a company like Hello Games because of how overhyped their last and, well, biggest game was. It had the gaming community up in arms for quite a while. Hell, I still hear people making jokes all the time about poor launches, overhype, and lies from gaming companies centered around it. Of course, I never really bought into the whole "they lied to me" thing, and I was an early adopter of No Man's Sky. Believe it or not, I actually pre-ordered 2 copies of the game, one on PS4 and the other on PC, along with the collector's edition bonuses. Those bonuses, by the way, are some of the coolest things ever. They had a space pen, a journal, an enamel pin, and this super cool die-cast spaceship that looks like the one on the cover of the game. The pre-orders also gave you that same ship in-game, so it was a hell of a bonus. I'm a huge fan of No Man's Sky. Even though it was described as lackluster at launch, Hello Games have worked their asses off to make it one of the best survival games on the market right now. But as much as I'd love to talk more about that, I'll leave it for another day. Today, we're going to be talking about The Last Campfire. The second I saw the Hello Games logo gracing the screen at the Game Awards 2018, I knew I was going to end up playing this game. It's actually a lot smaller than their last endeavor. The Hello Games team has grown to around 26 people as of the time I'm writing this review, and only 3 of those people ended up working on The Last Campfire. Those people also happen to be the creative minds behind Lost Winds, which was a launch title for WiiWare all the way back in 2008. It's easy to see the influence too. The visual aesthetic immediately brings Lost Winds to mind. I really wish I could speak more to the influences between the two, but it has legitimately been nearly 12 years since I played Lost Winds, so there's not much I really have to say about that. The Last Campfire is fairly new, having released on August 27th, 2020, just 2 weeks before I started writing this review. Of course, one of the issues that comes with the territory of new games is that you run the risk of encountering a few bugs. As you can tell by the fact that I'm bringing this up, that definitely happened. Most of them were visual glitches, and I'm just about 100% sure that you'll see some of them in my B-roll footage for this review. I've chosen to leave them in because I do honestly believe it affects the experience of the game, and I'd like to give you an idea of what to expect. There's a very good chance that this is just something that will happen around launch, and that by the time a lot of people see this video, it will have already been fixed, and I do hope that happens. For some extra context, I am playing on PC through the Epic Games Store, and that's where all of my footage came from. I did also get a chance to speak to a friend of mine who's been playing on the Nintendo Switch, and though I don't have any footage from their copy, they did report similar issues. As far as I can tell, the bugs stem from some rendering issue in-game. While you're playing, they look like the screen is flickering, but if I stop the footage and go frame by frame, it looks like something is just being missed in the rendering process. Sometimes the lighting messes up and shadows don't render properly. Other times, there are random blocks of completely empty space, and other times, things just clip into each other or text boxes hang way off screen. Also, navigating some menus can be a bit of a pain, especially when you're choosing languages, because they're not always in the same order or even working at all. So if you're wondering what's up with the footage, do know that I left it in on purpose, and feel free to slow down the video and take a closer look for yourself. See the weird stuff that happens sometimes. Oh, also, the bugs never really affected gameplay, just the viewing experience. None of the puzzles locked me out, there were no crashes, and I never found myself having to restart the game at any point. The story of The Last Campfire centers around a lost ember on a journey to a sacred place where lost embers go as their light begins to fade. Our ember gets separated from their group and loses their way. This has happened to many before them, and the story focuses on Ember's interactions with those who lose hope and become forlorn. It's up to Ember to help the forlorn see through their worries and regain hope so they may continue their journey. To the player, this means solving loads of puzzles. They're good puzzles too. I never felt like they were too difficult or jarring, and they were all pretty intuitive. The puzzles mostly revolve around moving objects and creating paths for Ember to travel, so they can reach a cage on the other side and free the light of the forlorn. The biggest thing about these puzzles is that they were all themed differently from each other. So, while all of the puzzles do share similar mechanics, they all feel like their own little worlds. It never got repetitive for me, and I enjoyed the aesthetic of the puzzles as much as I did solving them. The puzzles ramp up ever so slightly in difficulty by the end of the game, but I never felt like I was racking my brain too hard over them, and that doesn't mean the game lacked a feeling of progression. In fact, that feeling was pretty strong. The puzzles themselves don't get any more or less difficult, but Ember faces problems that seem more daunting and earns some new abilities as the story progresses, so there is at least a very strong sense of achievement throughout the game. The only puzzle I didn't like was this one in the pig marshes, where you have to roll this cube onto some buttons in order to unlock the path for Ember to move forward. The cube also has a little air blower thing on one side, so you have to make sure that that side of the cube never faces any flames or blows them out. Honestly, the puzzle wasn't too difficult, in fact it was pretty easy. The problem I had with this is that the game must think the air blower thing is like some separate object, because when the cube lands on a button with that side facing down, the button doesn't get pushed. For all I know, this could be working as intended, but I sure hope that's not the case. The puzzle was definitely solvable without the cube landing that side down, it just took some finagling to get it to go on the button with another side. The problem here is that if this is a bug, it's a glaring one that should not have made it into the final version of the game. If it isn't a bug, and this is in fact behaving as expected, then this cube is suddenly losing all of its weight based on which direction it's facing. But that was my only complaint about the puzzles. The rest of them worked fine and felt intuitive. There was a ton of variety in the problems shown to the player, and there was never any moment where it felt like you were solving that one puzzle again, except harder this time. The variety here is super welcome. Honestly, playing this game on PC felt sort of weird. You can play it without ever touching the keyboard. You can click to move and interact with any object in the game. Also, in one cutscene, when Ember walks, you can see their little footprints lead the way as though you had clicked or tapped a spot for them to move. It's extremely obvious that it was built from the ground up with mobile platforms in mind, which is kinda strange when you realize which systems it actually released on. The Last Campfire, as of the time I'm writing this review, is out on Apple Arcade, PC through Epic Games, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Where's the Android support, guys? Oh well. It is on iPad, iPhone, and Nintendo Switch, which all support touch controls, and I guess so could your PC or Mac if you have a touchscreen or a drawing tablet, and I guess the mouse kinda serves that function? It was just kinda jarring when the game told me to navigate Ember's inventory by clicking and swiping with the mouse. Also, the PC version didn't support gamepad controllers, which strikes me as odd, because, surely it has the capability to, out of virtue of releasing on home consoles as well as PC. I'm not sure why they omitted that. Anyway, as far as mobile games go, this is exactly the kind of thing I want to see more of on those platforms. I'm a huge fan of quirky little puzzle games on mobile. Back in the day, my go-to was Cut the Rope and other similar ones, but nowadays, I end up playing a lot of stuff like Human Resource Machine, which is a machine code programming game disguised as puzzle solving. Shouldn't be all too surprising because of how much of a tech nerd I am. As well as Assemble with Care, which is a short puzzle game about repairing vintage tech. This one is also not on Android, which stings, but hey, at least it's also on PC. The thing I like about those games is that they have story and progression. There's a beginning and an end, and they're not 3,000 levels deep like some random puzzle games you might find on the App Store. They also don't feature any ads because they have the advantage of being paid experiences. There are no microtransactions in sight, and they're high quality. Honestly, I think The Last Campfire would be a perfect fit for that niche. Even when playing on the PC like I did, it was easy to tell that it would control super well on a touch-enabled device. I can see myself playing this on my phone or Switch during my commute on the bus or something. It's just a shame that the Android crowd is getting left out. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say about The Last Campfire. It's a quirky puzzle game with a ton of personality. Right now, it does have a few obvious bugs that I'm hoping they iron out pretty quickly. But all in all, I really enjoyed this experience. I hope to see more of this personality coming out of Hello Games, and it does definitely give me confidence moving forward in the company, so long as next time they give the care and attention they need to in order to address the glaring bugs like the graphical problems in this one. If you like small puzzle games with emotional stories, you're probably going to enjoy this one. I just might give it a little bit of time first so they can iron out the quirks. Well, that's enough for me. Next month is Spooktober, so look forward to some Halloween stuff, I guess. See ya! Hey guys, thanks again for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're looking forward to Halloween videos in the month of October, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Thanks.